Anyway.
The same thing happened with what you call it. Remember?
Oh no, it does seem to work.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Hopefully this one isn't limited to an hour now, but it seems to be recording now. So yeah, it is working. Okay. Maybe it's just a different thing from what I thought it was. But yeah, all right. So hi everyone. Welcome to Mindgasms. I'm going to do a podcast today with Chris, aka Tubin, which we're going to call him now. And then we also got the woke centrist, aka Dusty. And we're going to talk about all this recent news about aliens, where even in the New York Times, it was revealed that the Pentagon admitted that the existence of crafts using technology that apparently should not exist, does not yet exist in this world to their knowledge. So, of course, this led to all sorts of speculation, anything from these things might be drones spying on us from other countries to, bro, aliens visited me and they probed me and all that kind of stuff. So this will be fun to talk about, especially since I know, Dusty, you said you had some stories from your like heavy conspiracy theory days. So yeah, let's talk about this. So yeah, actually, I guess to start off with, why don't you say I guess how you got, like, how deep did you get into the alien stuff when you were into conspiracy theories, and how did you get into it, Dusty?
Extremely deep. So
yeah,
I guess my first encounter with the subject was when I was a kid, and Fox had broadcasted a alien autopsy footage. That's obviously fake by today's standards, but they were pushing it off as like a real alien autopsy. And then often there were like these mystery shows that also alluded to UFO, like abductions and stuff like that. Like I know there are a couple of unsolved mystery shows and some other things like that.
Unsolved mysteries used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid. And it was because the music and the hosts, you used to have that crazy like low tone and like this is what happened, and you know what I mean? I don't know. It just yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Alien bodies have been discovered. They've been hidden in Roswell, New Mexico.
All right. So, so we could fast forward a lot into the future. I later became, I think it was like in the early 2000s. We're talking about 2001, 2002. So what happens is I'm working graveyard shifts, and of course there's fucking nothing to do during a graveyard shift as far as like entertainment goes. And I discover like late night radio. Like instead of listening to stuff like Loveline or anything like that, I was tuning into AM radio, and then I randomly found this show called Coast to Coast AM. So are any of you guys familiar with that show? Pretty much. So this was hosted by Art Bell. Rest in peace. And it also co-hosted, well, not co-hosted, because they would switch hosts occasionally. But by the time I was listening to it, I think Art Bell was only hosting like a couple nights a week, but it was every day. Right. So, so every night for 2 to 3 hours, I'm just listening to crazy, like, conspiracy theories, alien theories, like anything that's off the wall nuts, right? We're talking about Bigfoot and everything else.
Nice.
So one time there was a dude that, well, I bought a bunch of different books based off of people who've appeared on that show. So this means I've read a bunch of conspiracy theory books and alien books and UFO books.
Okay.
So there was this one dude who came on and he said that he had been abducted by aliens. He also said that he had not, I think he had like a 3rd or 4th grade education or something like that. And he was speaking like a pretty decently educated individual. So I was kind of astounded at his account. But he said like the aliens imbued knowledge within him or something like that. But anyway, this guy's name was Riley Martin. I don't know if any of you two are familiar with him. But he made many appearances on the Howard Stern show. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so Howard Stern was so impressed with him. When Howard Stern moved to satellite radio, he gave Riley Martin his own like show on the Howard Stern channel. So this guy, Riley Martin, when I had listened to his account on Coast to Coast A&M, I went to his website and like bought his book and a bunch of his merch. So not only did I buy his book, he was selling like tickets to the mothership. I bought one of those. I bought like his music album.
How much did a ticket to the mothership cost?
And do you still have it?
Seriously, don't. Yeah, I still have it.
Nice.
I seriously don't remember. I think it was like $30 maybe.
Okay.
But it was like a hand-drawn, personalized, like drawing that is supposed to save me a spot on the mothership.
Okay.
So I bought all this stuff and I was like, oh, cool. And then at the time I had a girlfriend and I was like, you need to read this book because I felt that I really connected to it. And it was
Which
like
book?
his alien. The book is called The Coming of Tan. So this is the book that Riley Martin wrote. I'm sure you could probably find an audiobook version somewhere out there. The thing about this book is it's not, I don't even know if it's being sold because you could only buy it on his website. The crazy thing is that any copies are worth a lot of money because one, he's dead, and he became kind of infamous once he had his show on the Howard Stern show. Okay. Like if I were to take my copy of the book and sold it on Amazon, I could probably get $500 for it.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, one day out of the blue, he calls my house and asks to speak with me. I was like, okay, this is really strange. I have the dude that bought his book and he just like randomly calls my house. And after that, we built like a relationship. He would just like check in with me every once in a while to see how I was doing. And then my girlfriend at the time got really into it, probably more into his story than I was. So what ended up happening eventually is that she got a job with his publisher. And with that meant that she had to move. So she moved and we basically just like broke up.
Oh, wow. You like inadvertently caused your breakup.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's not like in hindsight, it's not really a big deal. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Well,
we didn't break up immediately. Like we stayed together long distance for, a few months, but it wasn't really working out that great. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, anyway, she goes off to work with Riley Martin's publisher, and eventually, she becomes like co-host on his radio show.
Wow.
That's on the Howard Stern network. Because we were still dating, and I did go over and I did visit Riley in his own home and like the publisher and everything. And so yeah, I met them in person. Very hippie, I would say. Of course, they're big potheads. And I was just like really impressed with the dude's story. But if you look on YouTube, look up Riley Martin, you'll see his appearances like on daytime talk shows and Howard Stern and whatever. He's not that difficult to find. He did pass away a few years ago. But yeah, he was an older man when I met him. He was like already in his like 60s. But I got pretty heavily involved with the alien stuff. So
yeah,
at that time, I bought my mothership ticket and everything. Because after I read the book, I was convinced that I was one of these special people that would be invited into the world of Biave, which is the alien race described in the book.
Gonna join the alien society, bro.
Yeah, but I was like 22 at the time. I wasn't the smartest person, so I was super gullible at that time. But I did pay attention to a lot of the different alien abductees and a lot of different theories about the origins of humanity, such as like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Zecharia Sitchin.
Oh yeah, I actually read, because I've heard Joe Rogan talk about it before. I read the first one of those, I forget, or like 12th Planet, is it? I think I read that one, and I think I read that one and I thought, wow, this alien shit is fucking dumb. But, there's actually a lot of really interesting history about ancient, like Sumerians, I think it was, and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, so Sumeria, Planet X, a lot of crazy theories.
Like something like mining the planet for gold, or something like gold to block out the atmosphere, to stop global warming, that they tried on their planet, so they came to Earth to get gold to help them do that more.
Or planting like DNA for humans to evolve.
What was that, Chris?
Well, they were like planting like a big one is like, because we're human beings are crazy evolved over like monkeys and other animals. So like the theory is that aliens have somehow manipulated our DNA so to make us the superior species, so that we've been able to go from like eating our own shit to like Tesla cars in 2000 years or whatever, right? So
yeah, a lot of those books that profess like the alien origin of the human species, they do so using like the whole missing link theory, that humans just kind of popped out of existence. But there are so many different alien theories regarding our origins, because I've read a couple different books. They all have similar theories, but they're they have different flavors to them.
Dude, have you seen Ancient Aliens?
I've seen a few episodes, but by the time that show came out, I was already kind of past my alien phase.
Oh, okay.
Because you're talking about the dude with like the crazy hair.
Yeah, yeah.
The
I watched some of that show because I saw that guy interviewed on Joe Rogan's podcast, and at first I thought, wow, this is interesting. I don't buy the alien shit, but they're interesting theories. And then it got increasingly more crazy, and I bailed when they were there's this episode where they're saying, look, the movie Cowboys and Aliens is true. There used to be aliens during the time of the Cowboys, bro.
Yeah, so I was like super into it. The Travis Walton story. Are you guys familiar with that?
The name sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. No,
me neither.
Okay, there's a movie based off of a story called The Fire in the Sky. Are you familiar with that movie?
Oh yeah. Did he was he on Joe Rogan's podcast or some guy who knew him? Oh, okay. I might have seen
Travis
that.
Walton was on there. Yeah, I watched that episode when he came on. I was like, oh, The Fire in the Sky.
I probably saw that one too, because I always watch the alien ones, even though I never believe them. I always just find them so interesting.
Yeah, that one scared the shit out of me too when I was a kid. And you know what's interesting about that one is like multiple lie detector tests on all the guys that day, and this guy went missing for a while. And it was just it's strange.
Yeah, there's Travis Walton. Another one is that I knew about back then that I got really excited about was Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the
I've known about Bob Lazar since the early 2000s.
Okay.
He was also a guest on Coast to Coast AM as well. I was like completely fascinated with his story.
Was he the which guy was he? Was that guy? That wasn't the one who was the pilot, right? That's a different guy.
No, he was an engineer at Area 51.
Okay.
And his story is that they asked him to reverse engineer some alien propulsion technology.
Right.
And he also predicted that element that they didn't know about at the time. I forget what it was called.
Element 51 or 52 or something like that.
No, it's like in the hundreds, I believe. But yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It was a theoretical element at the time. And I believe they discovered it later on. But yeah, his is a weird story. There's Bob Lazar. There's Betty and Barney Hill. There's
Element 115.
Roswell. Yes, there's Roswell.
Yeah. What were I think I've heard the Betty and Barney Hill stories on Rogan's podcast with some of the alien guys too. What were those again, though?
It's a couple that had an alien abduction story. And it's very similar to a lot of the alien abduction stories that you hear. There's a lot of them. I don't know why it's so common for people to have these stories. It's very hard to believe them, but the stories are all very similar.
I think a lot of them are dreams.
Yeah, the most compelling things, though, are what we're able to see caught in video. I know there's been a lot of charlatans out there that have peddled like UFO footage and other things like that. You know, like, oh, look at these things buzzing around on the screen. I know for a time there were these videos where they had these weird things buzzing on the screen. And they found out that because of, at the time, our video technology was such low resolution that these weird like objects that people would see were basically just flies flying across the screen. It's just the video rendering back before HD could not compensate for things flying that closely and fast past the screen.
Oh, okay.
And there were a number of different hoaxes as well, where people would take fake pictures of UFOs and things like that as well. So there was always a mixture of fraudsters and people who thought that they had legitimate stories. Who knows if they were grifters or genuinely insane? But it's, I don't know. It's a weird community. And then there are some scientists that get into this community. Are you guys familiar with Richard C. Hoagland?
No.
No.
Okay, he's like a scientist who studied Mars, and his main claim to fame was a book called Monuments of Mars, and it's basically the study of what appeared to be a human face on Mars.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that theory. I didn't recognize that guy's name. I think I heard like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think I saw a video in which he was supposedly debunking that.
Yeah, and then that theory became pretty mainstream. I know there's a Hollywood movie based off of that face.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, I don't know what the name of the movie is, but there's a movie where this team does a mission to Mars, and then they actually go to the face, and like trippy stuff starts happening.
Oh, okay.
I think Kevin Bacon's in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. Like Google Kevin Bacon Mars movie, and I think you'll find the title of the movie.
Okay.
I think he's the main protagonist in that movie.
Okay.
And I believe there's a Transformers movie that has like the face on Mars.
Oh, is that the Dark of the Moon one? Is that what it is? That's like the second or third one, isn't it?
I think it's the
Apollo. You're not thinking of Apollo 13, are you? That's
the
one with Tom Hanks, but apparently Kevin Bacon is in it too.
I think it's Kevin Bacon. I might be mistaken, but I believe Kevin Bacon was the main dude in the Mars movie.
What if I look up like Mars face movie?
Yeah, you could probably find the title there. But there was a Hollywood movie based on that.
Was it Mission to Mars?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Who's in it?
Or there's that one was in 2000. There is also a movie called The Face on Mars that came out in 2009.
Oh, I'm mistaking people. It's not Kevin Bacon. It's, what's his name? Lieutenant Dan. Gary Sinise.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? That sounds mildly familiar too. Gary Sinise Mars movie.
That's the Mission to Mars.
Oh yeah, it is Mission to Mars. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, I think I've seen that. I don't remember it very well though, but I think I saw it when it came out.
Yeah, it's about Mars, and I know the climax of the movie is they get to the Mars face.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that. I should watch that again.
So, yeah, there's a lot to uncover. And this new like UFO stuff is certainly strange.
Yeah,
because one, I'm like completely out of the whole UFO believer mindset. Well, I can't say UFO, I'm just saying alien believer. Like all of the weird and wacky theories people have had about aliens and their encounters with them. But the new UFO stuff is certainly interesting.
Yeah, I think I have basically the same mindset. I never really believed people's stories about aliens, but I do think that it's likely that some form of life exists somewhere in the universe, but it's almost impossible to tell what type of life that would be, and if it would be like just really single cell life or bacteria or something like that, or some sort of super weird thing like in movies with aliens where they're totally weird, like in Contact or Arrival or something, like nothing you would expect. And I'm very doubtful that aliens have like visited Earth and are interfering with events and like abducting people and flying all over the place. But this recent stuff with the Pentagon admitting that, you know, they don't know what these things are and stuff. I mean, like, I've seen documentaries about how apparently some of the reason that people, it was from that woman who wrote, I think, didn't you read her book too, Dusty? Annie Jacobson's book, I think, about Area 51. I think it was in that book, and also in a documentary I saw about it. It was basically, she was talking about how a lot of the stuff that people thought was UFOs surrounding Area 51 were secret spy planes built to spy on the Russians, and then the Russians were doing the same thing on the Americans, and no one told each other this because it was part of the Cold War. And so, you know, that same sort of thing could be happening with some of these things that people think are UFOs. Like I've heard Joe Rogan talk about that sort of thing too, how they could just be drones and some sort of secret spy technology. But then there are people like who are pilots and experts in these sorts of things saying that it's not possible for things to do that, and are like, is it possible for other countries to have developed this sort of technology that's apparently like hundreds of years in the future from where it's supposed to be, with no other countries knowing about it? Like, there's so many interesting factors involved with this too. I mean, so what do you think about this whole situation with all this new stuff, Chris?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. There's also the debate, you forgot to mention, that people think that, you know, this is all a government distraction for some reason. Like, why is the Pentagon releasing this information right now, right?
Oh,
so,
right.
Which I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. I do find it interesting. I don't trust the government anymore, right? So there's that too. It doesn't look to me like it. I don't know. It could be just probes, like you're right. It could be just like whether they're like Joe Rogan thinks they're like in the ocean or something like that, and they, you know, who knows? I don't know. I often think that like some of this shit might just be beyond my comprehension and understanding of this, right? Like maybe these aliens they're so beyond I can't understand, you know. Like maybe they're able to time travel or move or cloak themselves or whatever. Like it's so beyond human logic and capacity of thinking that, you know, it would be like my dog understanding, you know, DNA and shit like that in human beings, right? It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, or fish. It's like trying to understand quantum physics. Like quantum physics doesn't make sense. Like anytime anyone, like even the people who understand quantum physics, it doesn't make sense to them. Like it just, by what reality is and the way we live, there are certain things that mathematically they're correct, but they just don't make sense.
Yeah.
And I think the quantum entanglement principle is like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
how
definitely.
can you affect a particle like thousands of light years away?
There's
particles.
There's so much we don't know too, right? Like, I mean, I can remember growing up and like Pluto was a planet, right, for the longest time, and then that changed, right? So like our knowledge of the solar system and how much like is totally it's we've learned a lot even over the last 20 years, but who knows, like there's something that's missing that we can't see, right? And I don't know, maybe if that were to open up, I don't know, but again, the universe is so vastly huge and crazy that there's so many stars and so many other galaxies and solar systems that it's it's probably, didn't somebody figure this out in mathematics once where they were like, it's statistically impossible that there's not aliens existing or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
right?
statistically.
And there's what's it called? I think it's the Fermi paradox, which is that it's statistically, like you said, it's statistically inevitable that there are aliens somewhere in the universe. But then the Fermi paradox is that if they're everywhere, if it's statistically inevitable that there's somewhere in the universe, then why haven't we ever seen any? And then I've heard other people say, like in response to that, well, the universe is such a big place and stars and galaxies are so far away from each other that even if you master like it depends on whether you've mastered the technology of being able to travel really quickly between different galaxies and stuff, like faster than light speed or something like that. We've seen tons of examples of that in science fiction, but is that, like, how easy is that? How if there are alien species, how many are there? Have any of them actually been anywhere near Earth, or is most human life just like fairly simple life, like bacteria or something? Or if there are aliens, are they something totally different from us to even comprehend? Are they existing in some sort of like metaphysical way or something like that? Or like you can go down all sorts of different rabbit holes with all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe they're not there, and they're they're not there in their development. Maybe they're stuck in like their Roman times or something like that, where they think their Earth is, or their planet is still flat, and you know what I mean? They have no idea of a galaxy, or you know what I mean? Like human beings, for the longest time, we've been around for a while now, right? It wasn't until the last maybe 100 years where we really had an understanding of solar system, other planets, the moon, you know what I mean? And some of these things really well within the last 20 to 30 years, right? So,
yeah, but there's still a lot we don't know.
Like in technology in general, too, like you hear people make this argument. I forget what it's called, but it's something like this rule about technology that the number of circuits that you can fit onto, I forget how it goes, but the number of circuits that you can fit onto a computer chip or something like that multiplies by 1.5 times every year and a half or something like that. But then I've heard like as basically as I can understand it, is that apparently every year and a half or so, the technology gets twice as more efficient or something like that. But apparently, if I've heard people talk about how that's expected, that pattern is expected to fall off by somewhere around this decade. But I mean, I don't know anything about this kind of stuff, and I've just heard like people who know way more about these ideas than me disagree with each other about it. And that's just like one of these so many different factors that are involved in this whole situation.
Yeah, man. Like, it's so nuts.
Yeah.
I think like one of the crazy things too, when you consider how, if there are aliens in the universe and they are very, very far away, even if we could travel at the speeds of light, like imagine how many years it would take to get to some of these places. As I know, you've read the Ender books, and by the end of the books, how old is Ender? Like he's
thousands of years.
40. Like technically, he's like 40.
Yeah,
but he's lived through 3,000 years.
Exactly. Yeah, like it. Yeah, it's like how you measure, like how you can measure time in two different ways with him, and they're both equally valid, right? Like biologically speaking, like you said, he's 40, but then like because he's more like he's become more than just his body, his like even his body in a way, like due to relativity and quantum physics, like you were talking about earlier, has basically existed for 3,000 years, depending on how you look at it and depending on where in the universe you are.
Yeah, so anytime you would travel that far, that's a huge cost.
Yeah.
Because if you're not with your family, like 2 weeks into your trip, like your family's already dead if you left them behind. Because that's how the time differential is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if there were any first encounters, it'd probably be with robots or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any species in their right mind would send like one of their people to a planet. They'd send like a probe or some type of automaton or something like that.
Yeah, that's why like it seems more likely that if those flying objects are some sort of UFO, and a UFO in this case does mean some sort of alien technology, then it does seem more likely that it's some sort of like probe or drone or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I think makes the Pentagon release kind of interesting in a way. Although I at the same time, I argue, man, like who the fuck is talking about this? I feel like nobody other than like, Sagar and Crystal and Joe Rogan, like the underground, not mainstream media at all. They don't.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a few articles on it, but for the most part, this is not talked about. And if you were to like go back even 5, 10, 15 years ago, this story would come out. It would be fucking huge, right? It would be on like every front newspaper. But I also agree with Dusty. Like, yeah, it's not going to be we're going to find them, because I think the other thing too is that like I've heard a few podcasts with people that have lived on ISS, on the space station, for example, and like their bones and shit like that. Their body's pretty much fucked up because they're not used to gravity, because human beings have been used to gravity for so long, right? So the probes are probably how we're gonna probably find, or going back to what I said earlier about these findings of the Pentagon, that's maybe the probes are already here. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Well, it's even possible that these UFO things are just like automated scouts without any biological material in them at all.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I think it's more. If it's alien technology, I don't think there's actual aliens piloting them.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like we wouldn't have thought about that though. I think most of the alien UFO people back when I was into it, that was not a mainstream idea.
Definitely. Like even us considering that as a fairly realistic possibility, that's a pretty historic shift. And like you said, the so-called mainstream media isn't even really reporting on it. Like there is more of a possibility than there perhaps ever has been before in human history that there's some sort of like alien drones that have come to check out Earth. If that's actually possible, like where the fuck did these drones come from? Who sent them? Why did they send them? Why are they doing recon or something? Like from there, you just go down any like infinitely deep rabbit hole that you want to go down.
I would say why not? Because if we had the technical capability to do that, we'd be doing it too.
Yeah, I feel like if we knew there was some other planet with that was filled with life forms on it, we would definitely want to go investigate it, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe they have some type of prime directive. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah,
there's an alien like galactic council that sees Earth as like this super primitive state. Like if you guys haven't played it, Mass Effect, I think it certainly covers this this type of interaction between aliens and humans. Are you familiar with Mass Effect, Chris?
Yeah, the video game. Yeah, I think I played it one of them years ago.
Did you play the first one?
Maybe.
Probably not.
I can't remember. PS3, one of those. I remember playing it. Yeah.
I don't think I've played.
The game is about the humans are joining up with the Alien Federation for the first time, so they're like the primitives, and it's a really, really interesting game. There's a lot of lore that they built in. The world building of that game is amazing. Very good sci-fi stuff. It has since deteriorated. I can't say that the last game was any good.
There's a new one coming out though for PS5, I think.
Is there?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The last one wasn't so great, but we'll see if they can capture the magic of Captain Shepard, Commander Shepard. I don't know how they're going to top that character.
I haven't played them before, but they're like first person shooter RPG games, kind of.
Oh, it's third. It's a third, so it's over the shoulder. There is a lot of shooting in the game, though.
Okay.
But certain guns you can aim through a scope, like it's first person. It's a cover-based shooter, so it's more like the likes of Gears of War. If you've ever played any of those.
Yeah, I did.
But yeah, it's very space opera-y. It has the first couple of games do have awesome like sci-fi stories. But yeah, it's aliens always make good sci-fi stories.
Definitely. Yeah.
Independence Day, like it's July the 4th. I probably should have watched that movie in preparation of this podcast. But talk about Will Smith and punching an alien in the face or whatever it was.
And stealing his spaceship.
Stealing his spaceship and him and Goldblum blowing up the mothership and all that other good stuff.
Did you guys ever see the sequel?
I've seen like the first half hour of it. I haven't finished it.
No, I never saw the sequel.
But it's weird because everybody's old and there's no Will Smith. Will Smith's not in the sequel, right?
Oh, he isn't? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't think I...
Well, I've watched the first 30 minutes and I think Goldblum is the star of the sequel.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen... I've watched the first 30 minutes and Will Smith's not in it. I believe there's this kid that's supposed to be his son, but not his real son. Like someone playing his son.
Okay.
I know it's confusing.
Okay.
But yeah, I have not finished the movie. Probably that would be something I'm gonna check out this week. So what I saw, it was pretty decent. But I just didn't finish it because I was in the middle of something. I remember.
Okay.
Or I think what happened was the streaming service that I was watching it on dropped it the next day, so I wasn't able to finish it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's happened to me before. Yeah, that's one example.
The movie, and boom, it's gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one example of a particular version, a particular depiction, a particular type of depiction of aliens, and there's so many different ways to explore that subject. And I love so many science fiction movies that have interesting ways of looking at that. Like the opposite of the hostile alien is the peaceful and gentle alien, of course, and then there's totally different stuff like I guess that movie Arrival, I love those aliens because they're not humanoid at all, and their language is so weird and different. And in Annihilation, the alien ends up being this weird, like, metaphysical copying thing that is so bizarre and strange and awesome. And then there's so many other different types of aliens too. Like they're the aliens in the Alien movies, they're the Predators, there's so many others too.
Well, there's E.T., the extraterrestrial, Mac and Me, Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
It's just a very popular trope in science fiction.
For sure.
Let's play up the alien angle.
Yeah.
There are a lot of movies where the aliens are the good people.
For sure. In that one, that newest book by Andy Weir that I read called Project Hail Mary, there's an alien that's a good character.
Yeah, so it's pretty. Sometimes you'll get alien horror, or you'll get space operas. Like technically, I guess even in the Star Wars universe, like even the humans there are basically alien.
Yeah. And then you got like Chewbacca running around with humans.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you ever read, it's like impossible for you to get a copy of The Penny of Tan now. I wish, because I would get copies of that for free, but I don't. I think my mom has my copies in storage.
Oh, okay.
So I don't even have the physical copies with me. But if I had one, I'd send it to you and have you read it, because it's actually pretty scary. Because in the book, he says like there's this robotic race that is trying to conquer the universe.
Yeah, that sounds totally interesting.
Horrific. Well,
I would read it and just look at it like science fiction, basically.
Yeah, it is. If I could, I wish I could read it again. I could probably find the audiobook on YouTube somewhere, or maybe like an interview of him somewhere. Because I don't know if he actually made an audiobook. That's the problem.
That actually happens. Yeah, that happens in the last season of that show I told you guys about before. That's show that was on the Sci-Fi Network that was on Netflix and was filmed in Canada. And I watched all Dark Matter. I watched all 3 seasons of the show. And I think you might have said that one was one you said you didn't see it on your Netflix because it might be on Canadian Netflix, but not American Netflix. But I remember that was one thing that started to happen in season 3, like the androids on spaceships. They start forming their own, the androids that like basically come with everyone's spaceships that run the spaceship for you. They were starting to like form some sort of rebellion against the humans, and they want to take over the human race, which at this point has been spread across the galaxy for a long time. So it would basically be like controlling the androids controlling the entire galaxy.
It sounds very Star Wars-ish, but the
yeah.
Where they had the oh my god, stormtroopers. I almost forgot their name there for a minute.
Oh yeah.
And they had the other ones. Yeah, the little guys with the like the small helmets and
the white
technically Star Wars 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Like some of the Jawas or
no, the stormtroopers, the clones, right?
Yeah, the clones.
Oh, the clones.
Yeah.
The clones of Boba Fett or Jango Fett. The Jango
yeah,
Fett
that's
clones.
true. Yeah. Oh man, that reminds me. I still haven't seen The Mandalorian yet. I really want to watch that. I still haven't seen any of those like big Disney Plus shows yet. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that or WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier or Loki. I want to watch all of those too.
Yeah, there's so much stuff to catch up on, right?
Yeah.
There's
I just finished season 3 of True Detective, which came out in 2015.
What? There's a season 3?
Yeah, man.
Was it any good?
I thought it was much better than season 2. Like everyone was disappointed in season 2, understandably, I would say. I would say season 1 is still by far the best. I fucking love season 1. I think it's a masterpiece. But the season 2 was okay in my opinion, but way less good than season 1. But like I said, I would say that season 3 rather is much better than season 2. But definitely not as good as season 1.
Season 1 had Matthew McConaughey, right?
Yeah, that was the one with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. Yeah, that Matthew McConaughey's character Rust is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's so depressing, but also so smart, and like his philosophy is so interesting. And I find his really like nihilistic, depressing philosophy very convincing, even though I ultimately think he's way too negative.
Yeah, season 1 is just amazing, and then season 2 was such a disappointment.
Yeah, definitely. And the one of the things I like about season 3, without getting into spoilers, is that there's a little piece that actually kind of loosely connects that one with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey in season 1. So I like that there's that kind of loose connection between them, because obviously each season is about totally different characters. Yeah, and I'm still catching up on Game of Thrones too. I'm gonna watch another season of that now that I finished season 3 of True Detective.
Right on.
Did you watched all of Game of Thrones, right? I know Dusty did.
Yeah, I did too.
Have you haven't read that many of the books though, right?
I didn't read any of the books. I was only a movie watcher for that one.
Oh, okay.
So, but
in the show.
I heard the books are, where it's at, but
yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah. I just finished I've been trying to catch up on Rick and Morty so I can, because season 5 just started, so that's
I've been watching that. That's the only show where I watch the new episodes as soon as they come out. I've been watching them, like, I think there might be another one that I need to watch, but I've been watching them like almost as soon as they come out, because that Wisecrack channel I told you about, Dusty, where they talk about like philosophy and movies and TV shows and then culture sometimes too. They have a series on Rick and Morty where they talk about each episode. So they're doing that with the new season. So I'm watching every new episode so I can watch their podcast about that.
Right on.
Oh, cool.
So have you been watching the new season?
I haven't seen the new season yet. I've been catching up to watch the season. So yeah.
Okay. Have you seen that show before, Dusty?
What's it called?
Rick and Morty? Doesn't sound like you have. It's the like
one of those shows I know I need to watch, but I've never watched it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's awesome. Like it's really
like
really
Back to the
fun.
Future. Yeah, it reminds me of like the relationship of like Doc and Marty from Back to the Future. They just have these crazy adventures every episode. I don't know.
It's awesome. It explores awesome, fascinating science fiction concepts, and then also Rick is a super genius scientist that can create almost anything, but he's also a super depressed alcoholic asshole. And then they get into some really fascinating science fiction concepts, but it's also hilarious.
Yeah, it's one of the better shows out there, I would say. Cartoon shows, animation shows. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Not as funny as South Park, but an awesome combination of comedy and nerdiness.
Yeah, it's like I feel like like South Park is more, I don't know how to describe it, more like edgy, I guess you would say, than Rick and Morty. Well, Rick and Morty is still kind of like, I don't know, they touch on those themes a little bit. It doesn't really go over the edge, whereas South Park goes over the edge from time to time.
Yeah, they like deliberately go over the edge all the time.
For sure. Yeah.
So would you say it's like very close to like a Futurama or The Simpsons or
Futurama, kind of, where they're going, like every show is an adventure. There's a family that Marty, and I forget the guy's. Yeah, Morty, sorry. There's a guy from Saturday Night Live that does the guy from Saturday Night Live that is the voice for
Rick Parnell. Chris Parnell.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He does the dad.
And then also Sarah Chalk, who plays Elliot, that blonde doctor on Scrubs. She does the voice of Beth, Morty's mom, right? Chris Parnell is his dad, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Parnell's the dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, it's worth checking out for sure. 28-minute episodes. And I think there's only.
Is it available on the streaming service?
Hulu, I think it's on Cartoon Network here, so
it's also you can watch the seasons on that website, Dusty. I've been watching it. Yeah, I've been watching it on there.
Okay. Yeah, there's so
and
much
it has all
to catch up on.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a great show. And then as the series progresses too, some of the there's a little more character development, and the stories get more serialized between the different episodes sometimes too. But then they sometimes deliberately make fun of their fans and say, "Look, we're not going to get all serious all the time here, okay? We're going to do some breaking the fourth wall meta commentary. Sometimes we're going to have serialized stuff. Sometimes we're just going to go on serialized adventures, and things will be back to normal in the next episode. We're not going to do what you tell us to."
I remember that Rick and Morty was such a big deal that they had some type of Rick and Morty dipping sauce at McDonald's.
It's because Rick loves Szechuan sauce. There was a whole episode where he I forget what he did exactly, but they went on this whole adventure and they murdered a whole bunch of aliens and shit and got into a war so he could have Szechuan sauce.
Is that what they were serving at McDonald's?
Yeah, I think so.
I think people got really mad that they ran out of this sauce, and people were super upset about it because they waited in line for hours to get their
something like that.
Rick and Morty sauce from McDonald's. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah. Well, Rick is he's this super fucking selfish and petty character. So there was also an episode in the last season where a big piece of it was about how he created an entire planet so he could have a private place to go and poop.
What?
Yeah.
That seems a little overboard.
Yeah, exactly.
So he needed a Dr. Manhattan-esque landscape to poop in? Is that what needed to happen?
Something like that, yeah.
Was Dr. Manhattan needed to get away?
Yeah.
Speaking of Dr. Manhattan, did any of you guys read that graphic novel?
Yeah, actually, that's actually the only graphic novel that I've read. I just decided to buy it at a bookstore once, and I thought it was awesome.
But didn't you read a little bit of Battle Angel?
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, that's not. Well, is that a graphic novel? I mean, I guess I'm not sure what the distinction is. Okay, I'm not sure what the distinction is between that and manga.
The only distinction is there's not really any. So, like, if you take, I guess there's a big difference between American comics and Japanese comics.
Right.
Is it typically in Japanese comics, the person who started writing the series is the person who's going to finish writing the series. And you're not going to have a bunch of different writers and artists writing about the same characters, right? So we're not going to have a bunch of different versions of Spider-Man written by a bunch of different people and drawn by a bunch of different people. In Japan, it's quite different. So when it comes to graphic novels, typically it's like, okay, one writer, one artist, one story, and bam. Manga is actually more like graphic novels. They're just chopped up into smaller bits. But the story itself, it's all from the mind of one person. So I think Battle Angel, there's maybe 7 volumes. And what they do is they just take like their weekly or monthly released books and they condense them into volumes, which have story arcs in them.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So yeah, the mangas when they're condensed into volumes, they're basically graphic novels.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same artist, same person that's writing the story. And oftentimes, the vast majority of the time, the artist is also the writer. In American comic books, they often task many different people to complete the book. So you'll have inkers, you'll have you have all of that. In Japan,
I think I've seen like many documentaries about that in special features of like some of the Spider-Man movies or something about that, about how there's a writer, there's a I don't know, like a drawer and an inker and outliner, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so in Japan, typically it's a one-person affair. So all of those comics are both drawn and written by the same person. So that Battle Angel comic, it's one person writing it.
That's cool.
And drawing it. Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, one person. But some of the newer Dragon Ball, so here's where there's an exception. I know some of the newer Dragon Ball content is not done by Akira Toriyama. It just so happens that Dragon Ball is such a freaking popular thing that they didn't want to let it die. And it's just continuing to go on. But that's not typical, though. That is definitely not typical of the Japanese comic book scene. Usually it's just one person who's both drawing and telling the story, which is pretty damn impressive considering how different that is in the American setup where you have like 3 or 4 people responsible for making a single comic book.
That's a lot. That's a combination of at least a few really different types of talent too, like to be a good writer and to also be a good artist.
Yeah, so one of the things you'll notice too is that Japanese comic books tend to be black and white, while American comics are typically always colorized.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true about Battle Angel Alita, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, that's typical of all manga. It's the only thing they'll see color in is usually the cover.
Okay.
And sometimes the cover artist will be a whole different person, just working on the cover.
Oh yeah, actually that does sound familiar now that you mention it, because I have like maybe a handful or so of other mangas that I haven't read yet, but yeah, all those are black and white too. Chris, have you read much manga or graphic novels or anything like that before?
Zero.
I would recommend The Watchmen.
Yeah,
Watchmen is great, man. That's actually one of many movies that I thought we should talk about at some point too.
Yeah, I've often thought about that. I'm pretty sure
you could probably find The Watchmen free online somewhere.
Mm.
Gotcha. Yeah, for some reason I missed like Japanime and anime and manga, and I know I'm aware of them existing, but that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Dude, that reminds me too. Another.
That means you haven't watched Castlevania then, right?
Yeah. That reminds me too. Another movie that I was thinking we should definitely talk about at some point is Akira, which is like one of the best animes ever. So you should watch that.
You should read the comic book. It's super insane.
I didn't even know there was a comic book, but that's not surprising. I should read that. Yeah.
Well, I think the movie only covers like the first 2 volumes of the Akira story.
Oh wow! And just the movie is fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the movie is weird because I guess not a lot of the ending makes sense to it. Like not very much. Like you're just kind of given a scattershot like description of what's kind of happening, and you got to make a lot of inferences. The comic books, like the story is explicit. Like you know all the details about everything. This like the movie, they just tried to cram a bunch of stuff in there, and they weren't able to really get into the nitty gritty details of the actual story that's going on.
There's still a lot going on in the movie, though, man. The manga must be fucking amazing if there's so much more going on there. That sounds awesome.
Well, it's good. I recommend it. Because the characters are definitely more gray.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Tetsuo is not really portrayed as the villain he is portrayed in the movie.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, like without getting into spoilers, it's like about a future dystopian world in which the government is doing experiments on children who have telekinetic powers and amplifying them to become like mutants, and there ends up being like a weird evolving techno mutant war and shit like that. It's so fucking crazy.
That's a weird movie. Have you seen this movie, Chris?
No. What movie is this?
You haven't seen Akira?
No.
Akira. No, he hasn't, man. He hasn't seen any anime, he said.
Yeah. Akira is like the movie that most anime people that don't watch anime usually have watched that.
Exactly. I haven't watched that much anime, but I've seen that.
That or Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, I've seen Ghost in the Shell too.
Isn't that the one that Scarlett Johansson got in trouble for?
Oh yeah, yes. They got a remake, and she was like playing an Asian person, basically.
Yeah.
She's playing an android. It's not really. I don't think we're really told
if
the android has the Asian features or not. So,
well, I mean, it seemed like she was trying to mimic that character from the anime, who was. It's been a while since I've seen it, but was she not depicted as like having Asian features or something like that?
No, they didn't computer generate like Asian.
Oh, okay, okay. Then why are they pissed off at her about that? Because they thought it was a bad movie or something?
They're pissed off because they think an Asian person should have played her role.
Well, if her role was not an Asian, if her role was not an Asian person, then that doesn't even make any sense.
Well, yeah, the role.
No, I mean if the character was not an Asian person, that doesn't make any sense.
It's not made explicit. We don't really know the race of any of the. Well, we know like the mental, if that makes sense, mental race, because they get to pick whatever body they want. So it's not like, oh, let's all pick Japanese bodies. That's not the case. Like one of the main secondary characters does not look Japanese at all. Do you know who I'm talking about? Bato, the guy with the eyes.
Is that the big Jack dude or something? I don't really remember the characters that well.
It's the big dude who has like those prosthetic eyes. He's like big buff blonde guy. Like that's not a. Are you gonna say make a big stink because that guy's not Japanese?
No, he doesn't look that way at all.
But here's the thing: he has a Japanese name in the anime.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't look Japanese though. Like, does his cyborg body look Japanese to you? It's like, how do you even tell what an animated form, what a Japanese person versus an American person looks like?
Yeah, that's the whole thing sounds stupid. Like, why should you care about that?
Yeah, right.
What movie did you guys say earlier that you're surprised that I didn't see?
Oh, Akira. Yeah.
And
it's like the one anime movie that most people who haven't seen anime have seen. Either that or like a Studio Ghibli film, like Spirited Away or something.
Yeah, or like Princess Mononoke.
Spirited Away. That I have heard of that one. That's the other one that everybody talks about because it's high on like the greatest movies of all time lists and all that shit.
Yeah, that's more of like a children's one a little bit.
Yeah, at least YA for sure.
Yeah, I like Princess Mononoke. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because the main antagonist is a woke centrist. Or the main protagonist. He makes buddies with everybody, even though he's like caught in the middle of everything.
Yeah,
trying not to get caught up in everyone's politics.
And then you were like mentioning when we talked about it, that there were even more American actors voicing characters in that movie than I realized. And like one of them was Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton, Minnie Driver. Forgot who else. Not James Vanderbeek. He's a different one. Yeah, there's a bunch of American actors in that film. I think Jada Pinkett Smith is one of the characters in that film.
Oh yeah.
She plays one of like the former prostitutes.
Okay.
Yeah, not really a kids movie, by the way.
No, that one's definitely not a kids movie. Well, like a lot of animes. Most animes that I've seen anyway are really not for kids, other than like Dragon Ball Z or something like that. Like Akira too. There's some fucked up and brutal shit that happens in that for sure. Yeah, and Ghost in the Shell too.
Yeah, not for kids. Anime is like an all ages thing. Like from little kids to adults.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I believe in Japan was actually the most well-read country in the world. I don't know if that's still the case, but I know at one point in time, because that's what all people did is when they were on the subway was read books. I don't know if the cell phone has changed that or not. Because even the company, well, in Japan, they call people who work for like corporations company men. Like even at all times, they would be holding books and reading them on the subways.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I don't know if that metric still holds true to this day, but they do read a lot over there. But a lot of what they read is graphic novels. So there you go.
That's cool.
But I don't consider, I still consider graphic novels reading. It's just doing.
Yeah.
You're still reading dialogue. It's just you don't have to read the author's, word landscapes. They're just drawn instead of described.
Yeah, and you're still getting some like amazing stories often too.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't you,
like the
don't
few.
you have,
one of those things.
don't you have to read some of them from left to right? Is that right?
Yeah, well, if it's not, sometimes
If it's manga,
American publishers will flip it so that you don't have to do that. But yes, you have. I read a lot of fan translations, and in those they keep the original Japanese format, so you actually would have to read it from. It's not from left to right; it's right.
No, it's
to
like
left.
backwards. Yeah,
right to left. Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to
actually,
look at the panels and from right to left.
Okay.
Else you'll get confused. Like you'll read the comic and you're like, "What the hell's going on?" Like I don't get it at all. And it's just you not reading the words in the right sequence, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I always forget when I'm reading manga. Sometimes I forget because sometimes if it's published by like a legit publisher, they'll flip it, they'll mirror it so that you don't have to do that. But if you're reading some person who just translated it because nobody bothered to do that for Americans or for English speakers, they'll keep it in the original, and then you'll forget, and you'll get into it, and you're lost. So like, I've just read like 2 issues, and I have no idea what's going on here. And then you got to go reread those 2 issues once you figured out that you were reading them backwards.
Oh man.
Because not only do you start from the back of the book.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you start from the back cover, not the front cover. And I would actually get physical copies of some, because some publishers, even the American publishers, will keep it Japanese. So you'll buy like a book and you have to read it backwards, even when they're translated. I think I probably have a couple books in my house somewhere. They would just toss those. You go to a Comic Con and they just give you those dang things for free. So I would go and they'd have I go to Comic Con every year and I'd end up having like 6 comic books, like big old thick volumes that they just give out. Because what they do is they give you these samplers, so it'd be like a thick book, but it has maybe like 10 issues of 10 different series in there. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, this sounds pretty interesting. Maybe I'll order this series or something. But I have a bunch of those.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Those look. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say I had a buddy of mine that I wrote it down one day, but he was like, "Yeah, you got to read this book, and it's called Uzumaki. Have you ever heard of that one?" But apparently,
Uzumaki.
Yeah,
that's Naruto's first name.
But anyway, apparently you have to read it from left to right. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I never got into any.
It's called Uzumaki?
Yeah, Uzumaki by Juji Ito.
Uzumaki.
Uzumaki.
Why do you say that you had to read it?
Okay, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not in it. I'd never gotten into it before, but a buddy of mine is into it. He's like, if you're gonna get into it, you have to start with this book. And I'm like, okay. Anyway, but yeah, he was saying you have to read it from left to right, which is or opposite the way that you would read.
Oh, it's like a horror magazine. It's a horror. One I would say that's good is Death Note.
Yeah, I've heard of Death Note. That's on Netflix, is it not?
Yeah, but the movie sucks. So. Oh, the show is good.
The show's on Netflix too, I think. I haven't seen it either, but I've seen that it's on there.
Oh, the show is quite good. It reflects the manga pretty much. Like it's pretty straight up translation.
Another cool manga show that I saw the other day that's on Netflix that I haven't seen in a while, but I watched it when I was a kid is Evangelion. That one where it's like people who go into these giant mech robots to fight like giant angels and monsters.
Yeah, that one is super popular in Japan.
Yeah.
It was super popular here as well, but yeah, it's basically 14-year-old kids who drive. They're not even robots. You've seen the whole series, right?
Yeah.
Andrew?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're not even, the twist is that they're not really piloting robots.
I didn't even remember that. It's been so long since I've seen it.
The twist is that those are giant bioengineered creatures with armor on them.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So you think they're robots for most of the series, and then bam. Well, even in the first episode, there's actually foreshadowing there that shows you that they're not really robots.
Oh, okay. And of course,
remember the character goes crazy. He goes berserk in the very first episode to kill the first angel. And there's
I've been meaning to rewatch that sometime soon. I probably will.
Yeah, the new Netflix version, it's basically remastered. If you do watch the whole thing again, make sure you watch the movie as well. Because the original series, the last 2 episodes were really super abstract. And it was really hard to figure out the plot based on those last 2 episodes. But what you could do is watch 24 episodes and then just watch the movie. Because the movie is basically the real ending. Instead of those 2 weird ass like psychedelic episodes that they made that make no sense to most people.
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting
them again,
too,
still
though.
Didn't make sense to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then
You'll
of
see
course,
if you ever watch that again.
Yeah, I better probably will. And then of
One
course
awesome
another
thing too is that Netflix has added the ability to watch things faster.
They've added 2 times speed?
Yes.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. I'm going to start watching everything at 2 times speed.
I know if you watch it on the computer, I know for sure there's a 2 times speed button.
Oh, okay. Maybe there won't be on the TV. I'll have to check about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's one on the TV. I do know for sure if you watch Netflix on the website, they have a 2 times speed now.
Cool. That can let you watch more things.
Yeah, that's like blanket movies.
Exactly. Yeah. Like listening to audiobooks at 2 times speed.
Yeah. I don't know if that will work.
I think movies are easier. I think it's easier. I watch most YouTube at 1.75, which is almost 2 times speed. And whenever I watch something like normal, I'm like, man, this is so slow.
Oh, that's all I do. That's all I do. I do normal for everything. I'm not one of these guys that does 2 times.
Dude, why do you waste your time? You're wasting your time. You can watch twice as much stuff.
No, I know.
Yeah. I'll watch 1 time speed if it's like a movie. But if it's something like some politics stuff or some commentary or some educational video, 2 times speed, man.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I don't know. I get why people do it. I just never got into it. Yeah, I don't absorb
you listen to audiobooks at one time speed?
Yeah, everything, YouTube videos, everything, audiobooks, podcasts, everything
slow.
Is at normal speed. There's so much of it that I listen to anyway that it's not like, I feel like I wouldn't be absorbing it that much. Yeah, like I hardly absorb the shit that I do now.
Audiobooks are deliberately read slow. Like slower than normal conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today
there was a man.
He did this thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I once tried to listen to Dresden on one time speed. I was like, man, this is so slow.
Yeah.
I know.
It depends on what year it is. If you're listening to a book from like 1950s and before, it's like super slow.
Oh yeah.
Whereas if you're listening
actually that's not true. Like some
unless they've updated it.
Well, because there wasn't really a standard back then. Because I remember I was listening to Lord of the Flies, and I noticed that the guy who reads the book talks faster than normal. So when I was listening to it, I couldn't listen to it at 2 times speed. Because right now, I guess the standard is you have to talk slow.
Yeah, because everybody speeds it up anyway. Yeah.
But man, you listen to Rogan at 1 time speed? Man,
yeah, normal for everything.
So slow.
Yeah.
Dude, when I've wondered if I like accidentally put it to 1 time speed when I've had it on 2 times speed, I'm like, holy shit, you can really tell how baked he is when it's at 1 time speed.
But a lot of that stuff is like, I was listening to like Tim Dillon on Joe Rogan, for example. Like a lot of that is timing, right? So if like I feel like it would be different timing if I'm listening to it 2 times as fast. Like the punchlines wouldn't be as funny.
I was wondering that. I was wondering that too. I was wondering that too, but I watched on Brian Callen's YouTube channel, he has a few of his comedy specials. So I was worried about that, but I watched one of his comedy specials at 2 times speed, and I thought, oh, I just reacted to the jokes the same way anyway.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I don't know.
Normal. Dude, like the first time I got through the entire Wheel of Time, I did it at 1 time speed.
Wow. Oh, that's a lot of hours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
like each audiobook is like 30 or 40 or 50 hours or something like that.
Yeah, they're all pretty long.
14 or 15 if you include the prequel.
It took me like a good 1.5 years to complete the series that way.
Were you reading those and nothing else?
I was listening to that and podcasts.
Okay.
But that was like the only book I was really listening to at the time.
Yeah, that's a lot to get through.
Bootleg. It was all bootleg acquisition as well. So I was looking through my old archives of like the actual files that I had, and audio quality is so bad. It's like somebody took a tape recorder and started recording. I'm glad I rechecked these out from the library. The ones I had, I started listening to them when I started re-listening. Like, man, this is like horrible audio quality. I can't believe I stuck through with this at 1 time speed the first time I got through it. But
was it still the same narrators? Was it still Michael Kramer and Kate Redding?
Yeah, it was them. It was just somebody, like the actual audio recordings that I had weren't very good.
Okay.
But yeah, it's 1 time speed, man. You gotta get with the times.
Hey, I listen to vinyl records.
You can consume twice as much content, man.
Yeah, man. Think of all the books you could read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the list keeps growing and growing. I'm never gonna get through it, so I just like.
Yeah, that's why you got to 2 times speed it.
Yeah.
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 And the good thing is, even if you listen to stuff at 2 times speed, there's still always tons and tons and tons of stuff to read.
Yeah. I just edit thoroughly. Like I got a bunch of podcasts that I subscribe to, but I'm like, you got to be like really like blowing my hair back guest wise if I'm gonna tune in now. You know what I mean? Instead of just like,
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I try to limit now how many I'm actually absorbing. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same. Like I think books have probably taken up most of my listening time. But when I'm working out in my garage though, I can't listen to fiction. I have to listen to either nonfiction or podcasts. It's harder for me to pay attention to that stuff when I'm multitasking, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing. It's got to be podcasts or like when I'm cycling or whatever, just because I can jump in and out attention wise, you know. Yeah. If I miss something,
because I was listening. Yeah, because the last thing I listened to nonfiction was I went back and listened to Joe Rogan's about the one he did with Weinstein.
The most recent one?
Yeah, the ivermectin one.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, last week.
Yeah, I think so.
You talked about the ivermectin.
Yeah, or no, that was the last one before that. That was
we talked about
weeks ago, maybe. Yeah.
Lab leak, and then
the lab leak theory. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was plausible. I never kind of dismissed it. I was never one of those people that said, "Oh, you're being ridiculous. It's impossible."
I kind of thought that at first because I kind of thought that at first, not because of like political tribalism, but because I just figured, man, Trump is touting this. He's fucking stupid.
No, I thought the lab leak was like completely plausible. It just basically for the same reasons that Jon Stewart made. He made more convincing arguments than anyone. Yeah, those were basically the thoughts that I had in my head when this whole thing was going down. It's like, how can you not consider that? I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but at least you can, do a little bit of investigation instead of just writing it off as being a conspiracy theory. But there were some legitimate, like, crazy conspiracy theories, though, that were generated. I know there were some videos that were suppressed by social media outlets. They were definitely conspiracy theories, but they were kind of going on the path of the Wuhan leak. But one of those videos, I think, that was kind of suppressed was at Epoch Times, Epic Times, Epoch Times. I don't know how they pronounce their publication. But there was this lady saying, "Oh yeah, they're creating a bioweapon secretly, and the lab leak was intentional." Yada yada yada. I was like, "How do you know that?" She was saying,
"Yeah, I've heard that too." Biology. Yeah.
and then I did like some cursory like research into her past, and she was not really a credible actor at all. Just because that you're a virologist doesn't mean that you're all that sane. Like, I think what happened is she got fired from her old job or something like that for having some really shitty subpar research. And then she comes on as a mouthpiece for this conspiracy theory, and people are like, "Look, it's true. She's a doctor." Just like there's groups of doctors were saying, "Oh yeah, about the coronavirus." You remember that crazy, wacky video where it's like a group of doctors saying that like coronavirus was a hoax, and then they found out that one of the doctors had like some little dinky ring operation in a strip mall, and she had reported to say something like demons causing health problems and bullshit like that. Like, yeah, I'm really gonna believe what you say, lady. And I remember conservatives were like, "Oh, this is proof that the coronavirus is a hoax." And
yeah, man.
I was like, "Yeah, sure. You're gonna take advice from the lady who says, some STDs are caused by demons." Yeah, sure. Yeah,
that reminds me of that video with that woman who said something like vaccines are magnetic. Look, I have this thing. It'll stick here, stick on my neck. It'll stick up here too. Oh, it didn't stick. Any questions?
People are idiots, man. Well, it's just like those TikTok videos. People are idiots. And when I say those TikTok videos, I'm talking about quote unquote hacks that people come up with that aren't even hacks, that make even things more difficult. Have you seen these things?
No.
I don't know. I'm not a. Do you know what I'm talking about, Chris?
No, I only go on TikTok for like booty and shit.
I've never even been on TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, neither have I. I've only seen people posting TikTok content on other social media platforms. But apparently there's like this whole community on TikTok centered around hacks. When I'm talking about hacks, we're talking about little tricks that you could do to make your life easier.
Oh, okay.
And there was like this guy that was like totally debunking a bunch of the hacks and showing how ridiculous they were and how they actually did the opposite. They made things more complicated and stupid. Because I think one of the hacks, it showed, oh yeah, this is here. Look at this pizza hack. And those little like plastic things in a pizza that keep the box from like bending down.
Yeah, they look like a little table or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, look at this pizza hack. And the guy takes the table thing and he puts it on the pizza and he rips a slice from the one that he had pinned down. And the guy that's critiquing the hack, he just takes the pizza and rips it apart without using the stupid hack because the hack is dumb and ridiculous.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of stupid crap like that on TikTok.
Yeah. I saw a YouTube video the other day of someone debunking one of those videos that someone was making about detoxing. Because that's like a really stupid nutrition thing that people do. You're just getting sick because you're building up these toxins in your body and you don't have these organs like liver and kidneys apparently, so they don't get rid of toxins for you. So you have to just stop eating things and you're just going to have like these smoothies and stuff, and then it'll just clean you out and you'll shit a whole lot. So then you'll think that you're getting rid of toxins and it's working, and you'll lose lots of weight because you're shitting a whole lot.
Are those the types of people that shoot liquid up their assholes and then just like
probably
and
probably
think that they're like it's a great health benefit?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, let me clean the shit out of my body.
I do remember. Anyway. I remember that was a fad.
Yeah,
the cleanse or whatever. Yeah,
the cayenne cleanse. It's like some stupid drink with cayenne pepper and lemon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember like a long time ago, I tried to I tried to make a kale shake because Joe Rogan was always talking about them, and I tried it, and I was like, holy fuck, I'm never doing this shit again. It tastes like a bag of deep fried assholes. Oh my god.
Yeah, I tried
it's so
that
disgusting.
same. I tried that same smoothie. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
why? I just eat salads now instead. Kale and salads is pretty good. Yeah.
Well, you can put kale in the smoothie. It's just the Rogan smoothie was just gross.
Yeah, it was.
I've put in kale in smoothies. Like, it's fine. That's how you turn your smoothies green. But if you mix it with, I know what was in his. It was like beets, right? And
it was like garlic for sure.
Wasn't it ginger?
He would say he would put like a ton of garlic, like half a clove of garlic or something like that.
Dude, that's gross.
Yeah.
For a smoothie, I thought it was ginger. I could have sworn it was like beets. Like half an apple.
I really thought it was garlic.
Ginger. Oh, remember garlic bait? That's gross, man.
Maybe it was a bunch of ginger. It could have been a bunch of
garlic in a freaking smoothie is gross. That's disgusting. Did you actually put garlic in here?
I don't remember him. I did whatever the recipe was. I don't know what it was.
Well, I thought the bulletproof coffees were pretty decent. Like, those were pretty good. Did you guys drink?
Yeah, I used to have that all the time.
No, I've never tried any of this stuff. Although, did you guys see the episode with like the Dr. St. Clair the other day where he was talking about aging and how he only eats like once a day or maybe one big meal a day or whatever like that?
I actually did that for a long time too.
I think there's some legitimacy to
that occasionally.
Yeah, just like having like one good meal and then the trick is like he said on the podcast, it's like try not to snack just because you're bored, right? You know, find something else to do, and But no, I never tried any of the Rogan shakes or any of that stuff. I never even got like creatine or any of those shakes when they were popular.
Yeah, I've tried a lot of those different things from time to time. And some of them I thought were pretty good. Like I did that intermittent fasting for a long time, only eating one meal a day. I more recently switched to eating 2 meals a day because that seems to work out better, especially because I work out so much. I thought it was I think I need all those calories for how much I work out.
Yeah, I did intermittent fasting for a while during my powerlifting days.
Definitely a great way to.
Sure, Andrew, you did use pre-workout, right? When you worked at one point in time.
For a long time, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to take all these different freaking supplements, like pre-workout. Did you ever take beta-alanine?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I used to.
Yeah, that stuff makes you itchy when you take it.
Itchy?
It made me itchy, like for like a good 30 minutes after I took it.
There are definitely pre-workouts I've had before that make me like that. There have even been ones that give me a rash sometimes.
The ones that make you itchy are the ones with beta-alanine in it.
Okay.
That's one of the reactions you get from beta-alanine. It's like a bunch of different like supplements, protein shakes, all that crap I used to do. I used to put like creatine in my stuff. All creatine does is it makes you retain water, and it definitely helps with working out. Like I remember feeling stronger when I was taking that stuff. But it's like one of the most studied supplements.
Yeah.
So it's pretty safe. There's not really any. If you're working out, you should probably be taking that, especially if you're doing like heavy weightlifting.
Yeah, I mostly just nowadays I mostly just prepare my most enormous meal of the day to eat right after I work out, and then sometimes I also have like an extra protein bar or something like that. And I do have like I have some pre-workout and stuff like that I use sometimes too.
Yeah, because I remember in high school, creatine was pretty expensive. You can get like a big old jar of it for like relatively cheap.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap now.
Yeah, you could just mix you can mix it yourself. Some people like to buy stuff that's already pre-mixed, but basically if you mix things yourself, you're gonna save so much money.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you're gonna buy like this powder, oh, I'm gonna buy it because it has creatine and all this other stuff. If you just the creatine is like the most important ingredient in that and those types of powders. So if you just get that ingredient, you can mix it into anything at a relatively cheap price.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They did the same thing with Alpha Brain. I found the main active ingredient, and then I would take that instead of all the other stuff that's in there.
Oh, that was a good idea. I ordered Alpha Brain once, and I stopped very quickly because I was like, this shit is fucking way too expensive, man.
Yeah, the main active ingredient is called Alpha GPC.
Right.
Let's buy that.
I used to actually, I forget what the website was, but there was a website where for a fairly cheap price, you could buy a lot of those different, I forget what they are, but like cognitive stimulant type of things you could get them in bulk for a cheap price. I used to kind of experiment with getting different ones. And yeah, like those. Yeah. I used to kind of alternate between ordering different ones of those and trying them, and said they had varying degrees of effects. I don't do that stuff. I don't do that stuff as much anymore, mostly because I don't have the money for it. And I think just having good nutrition and exercising and sleeping enough are the most important things anyway. So I don't do as much of that biohacking stuff that I used to do, but I used to be really into a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it can be tedious, like you're measuring everything or looking at your macros and all that stuff.
Yeah. There was a point where I was thinking, man, how much of my day do I spend on this stuff trying to make myself more optimal? What's the point of spending my whole day trying to make myself more optimal if all I'm doing is making myself more optimal? What am I making myself more optimal for?
Yeah, I remember the tedium when you're like trying to balance all these different supplements. And I will say though that Alpha GPC did help me through the Similarian.
Oh yeah.
At some points in that book, it's very difficult to like just stick with it.
It's a pretty fucking incredibly dense book. Yeah.
It's like reading Guns, Germs, and Steel, like the fantasy version.
Yeah, it's like reading a dry history book.
Yeah, with a couple interesting stories, but most of it is pretty dry.
Some of the stories are really interesting, yeah. But yeah, the way it's not really told as a coherent narrative in any way or something or anything like that.
Yeah, I need to get you Ready Player 2. I have it. I just don't know why I haven't sent it to you.
Cool. Oh yeah, that'd be great. I saw that my library has that, but there's a long hold list for it.
Oh, I got it. I could send it to you.
Sweet. Yeah. Have you read Ready Player One, Chris?
No, and it's on my list, and I have the actual physical copy, and I have the audiobook too. So
cool. Yeah, check it out. It's really interesting, especially if you like. One of the best things is the 80s nostalgia. That's all throughout it, and it's better in the book than in the movie, I would say.
Yeah, the book is definitely more like 80s nostalgia heavy. I would say that the movie is more like video gamey.
Yeah.
Because they cut out a lot of stuff from the book. Because
the book is pretty thick.
They cut out like half of the stuff. Have you seen the movie?
No, Chris? I haven't.
Okay. I can't say I'm
so disappointing tonight, eh? I haven't gone into anime. I haven't seen. I know, man. I haven't done Magic of the Gathering either, or any of that. I'm just
Oh, I used to play that when I was a kid all the time. Yeah.
I did not play MTG, but my sister used to be married to a top MTG player.
Oh, really? Wow.
Nice. He's won tournaments and stuff. And my niece is named after one of his decks.
Holy crap. Wow.
That's hardcore.
So, I don't know what he's up to now, but he was ranked a top ranked player for quite a while, and he won lots of money doing tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can win a lot of money, man. And some of those cards are worth fucking top dollar.
Yeah.
He also ran his own site where he sold those cards and stuff.
That game can take it takes a lot of skill for you to be super good at it too, and it can get super complex. Yeah, I haven't played it in a super long time, but I remember I used to love it when I was a kid. I think I gotta go soon there, guys, because I gotta pee. So let's end this one here. And yeah, thanks for talking with me as always, guys. This was fun, and we talked about a lot of other fascinating nerd stuff along with aliens, which is a fascinating topic. And so thanks everyone for watching, and I guess next weekend Dusty and Parker and I are going to talk about 2 Isaac Asimov short stories called The Last Question and The Last Answer, which are about this supercomputer named Multivac. And it's hard to say that much more about it without getting into spoilers. So that'll be exciting. And also next week, I'm probably doing a podcast with Eric Hunley from Unstructured and Mixed Mental Arts. And I asked him because he did an interview with John McAfee a while ago, and apparently he recently supposedly committed suicide. So I'm going to do a podcast with Eric Hunley about that next week, probably. So that'll be interesting. Did he really kill himself?
Let me know.
Probably. Yeah, for sure.
Let me know when you do that, and I'll see if I can show up for the chat.
Cool, for sure, man. And so look forward to that too. And like I always say, thanks to those of you who subscribe. Please subscribe, click the like button on the video, click the bell to be notified when I come out with new videos. And thanks especially to those of you who give me money on Patreon. And I have the link in the description of this video, as I always do. And also, like I always say, I love you all. Keep being the tiny beam of light that shines through the almost impenetrable darkness in the universe. And most importantly, always remember this: the funk cures all. All right. Anything else you guys want to say before we end it there?
Yes, I'll say Google Riley Martin.
Yes.
His book is called The Coming of Tan. He is a super interesting and eccentric individual. And if you want to see the guy who I visited in New Jersey, that's him. Yes, that's a real person. Yes, he actually dressed like that in his normal life. That is not just something he put on. I would go to his house, and that's how he actually dressed. I implore you to check out his story if you want to see what I was really into when it came to UFOs and aliens.
Cool. Yeah, check that out. And
check out check out the movie Phenomenon, which is a good documentary. Basically goes through and like all the things we talked about tonight. It kind of like touches on every one of those things. So yeah,
cool.
It's a good Cole's note to like wrap you up on all the sightings, and not so much the Pentagon stuff, but more of like the personal stories that we were talking about earlier.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thanks again, guys, and thanks everyone for watching again, and adios until next time.